Okay, so we are going to talk about GodForge today. We're going to talk a little bit about the game and react to Simon's most recent video on questions and answers that were from the community. I think most of them came from the Discord, some came from YouTube, whatever. I do have an agenda with this video. I have watched this before. There are things that I want to talk about, but I guess two things. One, who am I? What does this matter? My name is Vex. I have played every gacha game under the sea, every hero collector, every gacha game, every game that Simon has ever mentioned, and most of the Fateless podcasts have mentioned as sources of inspiration for the game. I've at least tried, if not gone headfirst into these games. So I feel that as a consumer and someone who tries to create content around these games, I have a unique perspective that I feel like sharing. Does my opinion matter? No, not really. The second biggest thing is I want to preface this entire thing with my philosophy of criticism and constructive criticism, to be more exact. I think that you criticize the things that you care about the most because you care about them the most. I am overall lukewarm on GodForge. I have been from the jump. I can go into that at a later moment, probably not this video, but I appreciate the people who have started this project and the people that they've brought on. Most of them creators. They have some good ideas. They have good heads on their shoulders. I don't want them to fail. That's where I'm coming from. Let's
Simon from
watch
Fateless.
the video.
This is going to be another video about GodForge. Today we're actually going to do a deep dive in terms of the
I could already
pause.
I'm not going to pause.
General comments we see from the community. Almost like a kind of dev diaries type of deal where...
It does say that this is a pre-alpha demo. This is where... I'm so sorry. It's 20 seconds into the video. It's a pre-alpha. This is, I believe, the same build that they showed people at Gamescom on mobile. So, and this is on PC. Like they optimized it for mobile when they showcased it.
Answer some of the most requested kind of bits of information, which I'm allowed to answer, and I just give you guys a bit more of a feel for what's going on behind the scenes. Some of the different community feedback and how I feel about the community feedback, and you know what we're doing in terms of addressing
They're also
some of
super
those
transparent,
things.
which I
anyway,
really appreciate.
Before we even saw some of that community feedback, I will say before I get into the questions, like just coming back to why did I start doing GodForge? You know, why was Fateless born? And really, we've come from a community of players who love hero collectors. They love turn-based RPGs. They love RPGs in general, or MMOs. I, in particular, just wanting to make a really fucking cool game. Like, and that's still there. That's still my place. Whenever we're like making decisions as a team, it's like, hold on a minute. Does that feel like it would be cool in the game? Yes or no? That's basically it. And sometimes it's like, well, hold on a minute. That doesn't feel quite right for the lore of the character and stuff. I'm like, hold on. Does it look really fucking cool or not? And you know, is that game feature going to be really cool and really well received?
Biblically
yes or no?
accurate.
That's
Angel.
pretty much the kind of benchmark, and I'm still there. Right? That's exactly where we're
Signature
at. And,
ability.
at this
be
point,
not afraid.
It's not me making a game. It is a much wider team. You know, designers, developers, artists. There's like tons of us now, all in that same sort of mindset and that same type of vision. So I guess rest assured, we do take feedback.
I think okay.
You know,
so I think I'm going to, in the future, I've been wanting to do this for quite a while. I want to do weekly reacts to their podcast because they do host a weekly podcast that's an update really for the community. They bring in somebody that's a content creator or some like big figurehead in the community, and they talk to them and they talk about things going on with the game, struggles and interesting things in game development, things like that. And I think some of them are pretty insightful, and they talk about interesting things, and I feel like, you know, I want to be a part of that. So reacting to it's like, kind of like my way of parsing through that. But I want to make a separate video because every time Simon shows off something, I watch a lot of Hell Hades on the raid side. He shows off something about Fateless, and it's just not quite there. And just looking at this screen, I could talk for an hour about the improvements based on the various games that I've played and my experience as an artist. This is not the time and place for that. If that type of thing interests you, I will make a separate video sometime in the future. By the way, I'm going to link this exact video and a couple of the sources of things that I'm going to talk about later in the description. So future Vex, please do that.
But also we have to make hard decisions because often feedback can be pretty 50-50, and at that point you just got to make a call and go with it, right? So there's other things in play here rather than just, you know, just people kind of like saying I'd much rather this, because generally the people that are upset with something are much louder than the people that are just comfortable with the way something is. So let's get into it. So far, what have we shown you? We've shown you a demo of one level of campaign. Okay, that's all we've shown you so far, and I mean, amazing how much, you know, feedback we can get around that. Interestingly, the two things which we've shown you in the demo, which we would class as relatively niche for this genre, so things like destructible backgrounds and things like
he talks about the UI a little bit later in the cameras, so we'll get to that then.
Basically find combinations of I guess secret rooms. These two things are the only two things we've shown you so far which are remotely, I guess, different to the genre that we know and love, and these seem to have been really well received, which is cool. So as we kind of like this reliquary system does seem particularly interesting. There might be like a question that somebody asks about it later, but it's essentially like, hey, if you complete, it's a secret. It's not something that they advertise in the game, like, hey, do this thing to get X reward. But it's like, if you complete this level doing or completing X thing, you will unlock a secret room. Almost like in Doom Tower and Raid, you have to progress through to unlock the secret room. This is like truly a secret, and their goal here is to get community building and, like, you know, a little bit extra traction on like the wiki later on when newer players discover that type of thing. But it's from what I understand, it's never going to be a champion based thing. It's never going to be like you need Hercules to be able to unlock this secret room. It's going to be something totally different, like X number of characters from this faction, or they need to have this type of weapon or something like that. I don't know exactly what the rewards would be for these secret rooms, or if they're going to be like a lot harder. I'm not sure. A bit of our secret sauce on the genre. It's good to see the stuff that we've kind of called out as like these would be a real point of difference for us. That's kind of landed, so that's cool. So I'm just going to pull up random comments from, not random comments, I'm going to pull up comments which were quite frequent from the community and just kind of give the kind of dev diary answer to it really, and give you a sense of what's going on. So Brevin Prince here, I was hoping for a bit more distinction between your game and Raid. Seems like a Raid clone with a new
They get
theme.
that a lot.
Combat looks like the same down to turn meter and stuff like that. Okay, similar level 60s Ascension. That.
So they had apparently like 3 or 4 months ago scrapped, maybe it was like 6 months ago now. They had a direction that they wanted to go in the game, and from what I understand or what I could gather, it was like Raid, where it's 4 characters pushed, 4 characters pushed, and you got 3 waves. The third wave being the final wave, the boss or the difficult enemies or whatever. But instead of 4 characters like Raid, you'd have 6. And they decided not to do that. And Simon made a video like, "Hey, we've been developing the game going this direction, and now we've just decided to scrap that, and we're going in a totally new direction." So that's where they're at. Seems strange, but I'm glad that they did not go a full force like, let's do the same combat as Raid except add 2 more characters. Like,
type of stuff.
so I would say that the combat style, they talk about it a little bit more with the camera angle. I would say that the combat reminds me more of a blend between Star Rail and Raid. And obviously Star Rail, maybe the Idle D&D game. Oh, Idle Champions or whatever. Maybe.
We are making a turn-based hero RPG, a hero collector RPG. Obviously, most people from this community have come from Raid. And yeah, I mean, we're using some of the same mechanics that you see in Raid. But this is not a Raid clone, by the way. This is just a game from this genre. Okay, Summoner's War was, 5-6 years before Raid. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, been out forever. You've got the anime group, like the Epic Sevens. And if you go back to Final
Epic
Fantasy,
7 was kind of bad.
Final Fantasy 7, like these games have been around for a long time. Okay, and a lot of what we see in terms of the things you're calling out as a clone, level 60 max, well, that's been around for a long time in a number of different games, even to the point where, playing World of Warcraft, hitting level 60, that was your max. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff which just feel comfortable to have.
So I don't want to pause too much because we're 5 minutes in. But yeah, like Final Fantasy 7, like original Final Fantasy 7 is very similar combat-wise, where you're focused on one character. Turn meters there, whatever. I think the one thing that I don't like in Raid is that there's no turn meter. Like, each character has a turn meter, but the arbitrary, oh hey, everybody's bar's full, who goes next, is so difficult to deal with
in the genre. Now, almost every single thing that we're doing, we've had the conversation internally to say, is this where we innovate? Okay, is there much benefit to innovate to say, oh, hold on, we don't level to 60 in our game, we level to 100. And we've had this exact conversation. It's like, well, all you're doing is you're changing a number.
Exactly.
So
I think
the
level
to come into the game and understand that they're playing a game of this genre and feel comfortable.
People are
with
normal.
That.
People
because
are
when they get into some of the areas where we're innovating, that's going to be where their brain needs to say, okay, I need to learn some new things. And if you're learning new things all over the game, almost trying to create your own genre, well, for a new studio, that's extremely risky. Okay, it's a very risky thing to do. So some things are very similar to what you've seen in other games. Some things we're bringing with our own flavor to it, and some things are just going to be new.
It's kind of like when Heroes of the Storm came out, and like, I don't know, Heroes of New Earth and League of Legends and all this stuff. Like, a lot of them took the best parts of the genre from Dota and just built their own new things on top of that, but still kept the base. Like, hey, there's QWER, there's masteries, there's items in the game, there's a shop, there's like, it's part of the genre. I think there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it's a clone because you have ascension stars and you have level max, but then they've also not. Why are you stopping at Dota? Is the first MOBA that I've played. I mean, obviously I play Warcraft 3, but I was thinking specifically about about MOBAs and not Warcraft. In my mind, they're separate. What was I saying about level max? It's like any of the gacha games like Wuthering Waves and Zenless and Genshin and whatever. Like, people are just used to the star system. They're used to ascensions. Don't change it. Turn meter, like, it's fine. It's the genre. Keep those. Those are fine. Those aren't like raid specific things.
New, nobody's seen outside of the development team, because we're still a year from launch, and it would be very easy for any competitor in the genre to literally pick up the new thing and say, we can turn it on in 3 months, and basically, GodForge, good luck.
Just the
yeah,
talents.
because then it looks like we've just copied a whole bunch of stuff from other people. So rest assured, the whole kind of like, is there going to be more distinction between your game and raid? A lot of the basic things around the type of game it is will feel similar, but not just raid, to this genre. And there'll be plenty of stuff where you're like, damn, that feels really cool and very different.
I feel like there's also going to be a lot of Watcher of Realms stuff.
What we got here, Viking never
Hades was very big into Watcher of Realms for a long time, and had like a second YouTube that was dedicated to that game. Also, some Dragonair. That game was kind of bad. But Watcher of Realms is like Arknights, but Western.
And Never Die. I was thinking, using the mythology as your base won't in the long run prevent you from adding new champs. Sooner or later, the divinities will
this
run
is
out,
a dumb.
won't they? Type of
It's
thing.
not a dumb question. It's a
mean,
it's a question that
easily
has an
we
easy
could go
answer.
to 1,000 gods and not even scrape the surface. And that's if we were just using gods. We're using gods, myths, and legends. We've seen some really interesting stuff from the community around, what does a legend actually mean? Is the kind of the Loch Ness monster a legend, for example? Is a Yeti a legend? And so on and so on.
I mean, I don't know if the crossover between Raid Shadow Legends and Smite is very big.
What's his name? Robin Hood. Is Robin Hood a legend? Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we could do. Jack the Ripper, is he a legend? Should he be in the game? So there's
if they don't add
almost
Wukong,
an infinite pool of opportunities here. I don't think in any way will be restricted.
It better
in terms
be on
of
release.
hero numbers and stuff like that. Looks great, honestly. Yeah, it needs a ton of polishing, but the base of the game looks amazing. Great UI work. Yeah, send love to my designers, whatever. One thing I must point out, you want to have double
yeah, I don't think that Jack
animation
the Ripper
speed,
should be a playable
but
character.
not the whole game speed.
That being said, the clown is a playable character in Dead by Daylight.
This is something we've already fed back internally. So when we're playing, you can see when I've got 2 times on at the moment, everything is at 2 times. Like
this is okay. So this isn't a UI thing, but I don't know if I should save this. There's a larger discussion here, but the animations of the game, I think, hopefully they'll be polished up, but they seem like they've got 2 times in mind when they're using the animations. So when he makes a video and puts it on 1 times, the animations seem super slow. People use 2 times because they want to clear content faster because they don't have very much time. He's talking about here how like the animations of everything in the level go up by 2 times. I'm also of the like it should probably be a 4 times for certain encounters, but that's just me.
The trees, the lot shouldn't do that. It should just be the characters' animations that speed up. So we have already picked up on that, and it's we are in pre-alpha, remember. So any stuff like that, firstly, we thank you for the feedback, but yeah, we are on it. Any communication, we see this a lot about pay to win. How pay to win will the game be?
Oh, I wonder.
So we haven't worked out pack prices. We haven't done all of that stuff yet.
So Hades and Scratch and MTash and literally every other raid or gacha gamer complains about rates so much. It's even like there's videos every time there's one of those here, I'm gonna pull up my raid for a sec. What are those oh, that's not even open. The like white shards that you can really only get in like tournaments or you have to buy from packs. It's like now they have pity, but there wasn't any pity. It's like only epics and legendaries. Prisms, yeah, the prism shards. Every time there was one of those. every creator would make like a video. Hey, these are the new, this is what's in the pool. This is what you could get. Only roll on this if you're comfortable wasting your money because the rates are so bad on this premium product. It's just bait. And all of them said that. The first thing he says about being, like, is this game about pay to win? Is we haven't figured out pack prices. That doesn't, maybe it's just, hey, I know he gets into a little bit more here about like, pay to win, free to play, but it doesn't sit well.
This game has cost millions of dollars to make, or will have cost millions of dollars to make when it goes live. It has to have payment methods in the game. So what I would say to you is, we want to make sure there's plenty of ways to earn cool rewards as a free-to-play player. We're going to have game modes,
yeah, of course,
which
it's got to be
specifically free-to-play centric, and by that I mean normalized modes. Or you'll be making options where, irrelevant of your champion pool, you'll be playing on a level playing field with anyone who spent any money in some game modes. Okay, so but there will still be.
So he did talk about a couple videos ago, maybe a little bit before, maybe like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. He made a video where he was talking about. I totally lost my train of thought. Jesus Christ, what was he talking about? God damn, I read chat.
That I mean, normalized modes.
Oh, right. So there's going to be a game mode where you get, maybe it's like PvP or something like that, but everybody who participates gets a pool of characters, and you use those pools of characters to make your team and do the content, whatever that is. That's like one of Fateless's like combat, whales, like, or combat, maybe endgame content that's only exclusive to people who have the teams to be able to do it. Like in Raid, I don't have a Trunda team for Hydra, so my Hydra numbers are going to be way different than people who have just happened to luck in the Trunda. I don't know how exactly it's going to be implemented. Like, if I pool Hercules and Hercules is in the pool, is it going to be my Hercules that I'm going to use, or is it the one that they've sort of like normalized? Like, I don't know. Who knows?
You'll be making options where, irrelevant of your champion pool, you'll be playing on a level playing field with anyone who spent any money in some game modes. Okay, so but there will still be an element of, you can buy shard packs or crystal packs. You can you can buy more energy, like those things.
Did you hear it? This is what this video's about. So, I don't care about gacha games selling packs, right? Like, I started playing gacha games with Genshin. That's really my foray into the genre. Started playing Raid because I got a sponsorship for it, and I've been playing it ever since. I play Raid almost like a incremental growth idle type of game. I'm starting to focus a little bit more on it now because I'm getting into like the later stages. But regardless, the pack prices that comes with it, it's going to be a free game on Android, iPhone, and PC when it launches. I believe later in the video he says it's only in English for right now, but with the money that they get, hopefully, they're going to use that to like localize the game. Pack prices is fine. Pull rates, whatever. I played Dislight. The Dislight pull rates when the game first came out was abysmal. Worse than any other game I've played. That's since changed. It was worse than Raid Shadow Legends pull rates. I play Raid. Obviously, I know the pull rates there. I've played AFK Journey, where the pull rates are almost essentially guaranteed. And that game's still fun. The crux of this conversation, though, is energy. And all I'm gonna say now is it wasn't made aware, at least from what I could tell, until right now, that there was going to be an energy system in the game. Um, I despise energy or stamina as a mechanic, but I thought about it a little bit more, and this is all I'm going to say for right now. If there is energy in the game, there should be no silver cost to change artifacts or the equivalent in this game, right? The gear sets on your characters shouldn't cost money, and all of the creators of this game have all complained about that. So, my thought is I will deal with the energy system if they don't have artifact removal costs. If they have both, I will not be playing this game. Would I still be playing Raid if there was no energy? I don't know. We'll talk about energy and the ups and downs and what I've learned the past couple days doing some light research onto like why games use it. The answer is probably yes. I still play Unmanned Space Idol, but that's that you could say has a sort of type of stamina system. There is that type of comeback mechanic, come back to the game when the stamina is ready. In a lot of games, it just exists in different forms, which is part of what I've been learning about, and it's sort of like calmed my temper when it comes to energy. But I don't have like a legit. I've wrestled with this for the past couple of days. I don't have a legitimate like, here's what I would implement instead of energy. Other than one thing I'll mention later, I just don't like it. That's it.
This will happen because we do have to monetize in some way, and ultimately it's a free-to-play game. Okay, so will there be better rates in shard pools and stuff like that? Yeah, probably, but not by a lot. Otherwise, these games get incredibly boring really fast. Okay, I've played games where you get everything you want really quickly, and you're like, oh, that's got to be the best method. It's not. It's boring. It's really boring. So
I will say,
we still want
I got a majority of the AFK Arena characters early on in the game. Sorry, AFK Journey characters early on in the game, and that made it pretty boring. Just because the rates were so high and essentially guaranteed, and you got so many pulls in the beginning of the game, I don't, or I didn't challenge myself to learn more about the characters. I just went to like the most recent tier list and like, oh hey, this boss just used these characters in this slot. Here you go. You just AFK. There you go. You win.
Is to have challenges in the game, and the only way you can have challenges in the game is if you don't just get everything given to you. You have to make strategic decisions based on what you have. So we're not going to be like egregiously pay to win, but there will be ways to spend in this game to speed up your progress,
a bit later.
Never to the point where somebody who plays free to play for a long time couldn't catch up with the paid player. By the way, we're on basically all socials. If you want to get like screenshots of new heroes that come out,
their Discord's
and artwork of
active.
like background assets and stuff like that, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Reddit now. We're basically anywhere where there's a social. So feel free to join us on whatever makes most sense for you. So what's it saying here? Oh yeah, often asked, is this going to be mobile or PC? So the beta is going to be Android and PC, and then when we launch, it will be cross-platform. So Mac, PC, iOS, Android. And here, how do you sign up for the beta? You can just go to the Fateless website, which I'll pin down below, and you can just come on a very easy sign-up form there and come and join us in the Discord once you've done that. The closed beta will be early next year. I like the cinematic view. Okay, we're going to get a lot of kind of mixed views on this visual of the game. I like the cinematic view. I see everyone else hating on it. I want to see the detail. It makes it look like a high-quality game. Raid, and especially Watcher of Realms, look worse when you get into gameplay. This makes it feel like every character is special, and they get their own thing while characters stand back. Okay, so
So I want to say, like, when I got Ninja, I was like, I put him on a team in Raid, and I was like, oh, So that's what Ninja looks like. Like, he looks a little bit different. He's on my side of the field now because for a while, you know, it was like essentially impossible to get Ninja. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, Raid, you can zoom in or whatever, but you always see the back of all of your characters. You can never get close enough to see the other characters. You're never like in the battle.
There's also
I don't really have a point.
up here where people don't like the camera. Awesome demo. One point is that the camera might not work well with motion sickness.
Oh, that's
we've definitely taken that on board. Thank you for that. We've seen that a few times. And then DJ Beast here and a number of others. This game's looking good. If we could change the camera angle to see the battle from a different perspective, that would be a huge improvement.
I think everybody's just used to an isometric raid battle. I don't have a battle open. And they just don't. They see the style of game and they expect an isometric view. And
so
they just don't want anything different.
Right? So, going back to we don't want a raid clone. And then actually what we did is we looked at the kind of point of view in the remake of Final Fantasy VII. And we kind of like this view. This feels way more interactive and cinematic as you're kind of like going through this character view. Slightly different to what we've tried to do because we won't be as dynamically moving our characters.
Yeah. So if I'm tabbed into raid and I'm on a different screen, like scrolling through a website or whatever, it'll scroll up and down in the game, and then I look over at the game and I'm like super zoomed in on like Kale's butt or something.
But anyway, we like this view. We also looked at the most successful game.
Okay, this one's like pretty obvious.
The genre by quite some way right now.
So the characters in GodForge have ultimates that you can use out of turn meter, which I don't know how that's going to work for PvP because Star Rail doesn't have PvP, so you don't get to see that. You can use it out of turn order to use their ultimates just like in Star Rail. And you can queue them up. You can hit like 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of your characters will use their ultimate and interrupt the turn that's currently happening.
Now, which is
but in this game,
Star Rail,
you're like
again, similar type of thing, focused on the one.
So in this game, you've got four people on your team, and you focus on the person who's currently up. You see the enemies that they're fighting. You don't see any of the rest of your team until you use an ability that targets your team.
One character when it was doing their ability, and then
depending on where they're positioned. I don't know how. So they have MTash in the team. MTash is a big Genshin fan. He ran for a long time. He was like the biggest free-to-play Genshin creator. I think he's done some Star Rail stuff. I'm wondering how much they'll care about positioning. And I don't know if they've played Star Rail enough to know that there's a mini game of placing your characters on certain sides, and in certain orders. So think hang on. Think NTG when interrupts an instance were different things. It's probably just like that. Yeah. It's not like it interrupts the turn. It queues it up as the next thing that happens, right? Last in, first out. Yeah, we're introducing the Magic the Gathering stack to the hero collector genre. This is GodForged, the Gathering.
When you need to. Now, these are a couple of the, inspirations for the game view that we've currently got. So if you look at our kind of like game view.
Oh man, did it show it? Like when you're playing a healer in Star Rail, you press the heal button and it shows you your whole team in like there's all your team, and you can select the character, you hit the button again or you click on them and it heals that character or whatever. And then it goes back to the normal view.
Right? So right now, let's just go to 1x speed. Right now, we don't have all of the kind of like animation slick. We don't have a jump back into position, We don't have it spinning around.
See, like Musashi. Look at Musashi's anime. Oh my god, I'm gonna get stuck here. That's Zeus.
We don't have all of the kind of like animation
Is it Zeus?
slick.
I don't know, maybe.
We don't have a jump back
Oh, it was. Look at Musashi's animation. Yeah, this is Musashi.
into position. We don't.
This is
have
on
it
one
spinning
times. You see that?
around to show you when you want to buff your team properly. We don't have it spinning behind the team when the enemy are attacking. So there's a few things which we
Clearly
definitely were going to
things
change
need to be
anyway.
refined, but oh god,
Buff your team
the
properly.
damage font.
We don't have it spinning behind the team when the enemy are attacking. So there's a few things which we
So I don't
definitely
recognize
were
the
gonna
two swords
change
from heaven.
anyway.
It isn't Musashi. It feels like, oh, she doesn't even have like a texture on her weapon. I think that's Athena. I mean, hey, it's a work in progress, right?
And
I've still
some
not
of the
seen Wukong.
timings off on animations, basically because of where we are in terms of timing, like pre-alpha, all that type of stuff. That being said, we can change cameras as we choose to, and we're definitely taking that feedback seriously. What we actually really want to do is wait until we've got it slick so that it feels good,
I'm
and
pretty sure
people
that's
are
what
able
it
to play that
could be
closed beta, and then we can make some decisions on whether
Yeah, I think the camera angle is fine.
or not we just want to change it up.
I want to see what it looks like when you
but
target
We've
other
definitely
people on
taken
your
the
team.
feedback on board. You know, there's no, that's the whole reason for having, you know, this type of channel and a community that's so close.
Oh, maybe Ultimates.
There's also though an element of people don't like change until they've experienced it for a while. So it's until we've got people actually playing the beta and, you know, get some proper live feedback, it's very difficult to know whether it's just like, oh, it feels different, so therefore I'm a bit scared of it, or whether it genuinely doesn't feel as good. After I've been playing it for a while, I actually love it. Like, I love it. I feel like it feels way
Yeah, I
better.
feel like the argument of you just haven't gotten used to it isn't a particularly strong argument. Maybe it's somewhere here. They talk about having like a button that's like, hey, maybe we could figure out something like you can choose the camera angle. Like you could press a button and you see like the classic isometric raid view, and like that's how you play the game. Or you play the sort of star rail, like you're in the combat type of view. But I think ultimately they should stick to their guns, and if you're gonna like don't half-ass it, like make it really fucking good and be like, no, you don't get the raid camera angle, you get the one we like because this is our game and we made it super fucking good. Yeah.
And that's before we've cleaned up all the animation and stuff. So, you know, we've seen a lot of people in comments say, I really like it. And we've seen a lot of people in comments say, you need to fix it, which is a bit of a silly term, but you need to change it. Okay, so we're taking it on board. And
Yeah, there's only so much you can. He said at the beginning of the video, there's only so much community feedback you can listen to before your game like is a dumpster fire. Oh, we've talked about that.
Introduce a second camera angle as a possibility when the game goes live. Obviously, that takes
That
extra.
That has some implications too. Like, what if you like, what if I turned off limiting FPS in raid, and my 12-3 farm went from 8 seconds to 6 seconds. So what does changing the camera angle do in terms of like that type of I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much about
time, extra development work, all that type of stuff. But we will see after the beta if people still feel that kind of same way. But definitely taking that feedback on board. Here we go. So we got Ray Hawk here. What's he saying here? Oh yeah, it'd be cool if there was sidekicks, pets that you could summon as well, and it give you stuff like blessings. Cool idea. This isn't like a repeated one. It's just I love it when people come into the Discord and actually come with a cool idea. You know, so I'm not saying we're definitely going to implement this. I had a very similar idea to this, but it went in a different direction. But we've got an area of the Discord here at Fateless where we've got an area for innovation and ideas, and we've got these kind of like game idea mega threads where people just come and give ideas. Now, some people come in and they literally just say like, make game good. And you're like, great feedback.
What did you say?
What can I do with it? I literally can't do anything with it. Whereas if someone comes with an actual idea,
What do you mean?
know what? I read every single one, and some stuff we're actually implementing on the back of cool ideas. What's interesting as well is, people that say, is this just a clone of Raid? If you've got cool ideas of how we can really be different, we are all ears. Like, we're literally wide open
Remove artifacts,
to taking
remove
those suggestions in. So feel free to bring them along. As I say, I read every single one. We've got here, a god.
He is a very. He does seem like he's a very blunt type of person. He's doing press, but he's always. I mean, I appreciate this type of honesty. I would rather that than like the Blizzard, like scripted. Hey, I'm talking. I'm. What's that guy's name from Overwatch? The guy who left Overwatch. I can't remember his name. He had like the thick glasses. Like, he was funny, but like everything he did was scripted. Like, they're content creators. Like, they're fucking idiots. Like, come on.
An in-game trade system where you can post the champion you want to trade to
this is
other
actually an
people
awful idea.
and be able to haggle with them. I really liked the idea of this. We've kind of gone back and forth on a marketplace in the game, on a trade system in the game, all of these things.
A bunch of the creators
Every single time we go down this
on
road,
board played Diablo 3 like hardcore when it first launched. The in-game trade system is not happening.
Unfortunately, people cheat these systems. Bots come up. They farm shards. They farm the ability to summon, and eventually they'll get the champion. You want.
back to the energy thing. A big reason I found that games, a big excuse or a good reason. It's a good reason why games use energy is to combat bots and like auto clickers, which like I get, but maybe get better anti-cheat. I don't know if you can on mobile, like
trade with the bots,
but like an in-game trade system like
people will just kind of
gets got super easy
because they're cheating the game
because of bots.
I've got this real thing that I hate. Like, I hate people that cheat to win, and I don't want to put a system in the game where literally it helps people cheat to win. So it's unlikely we're going to do this just because of the fact that I just said there. Gecko Mayhem. I do not envy the mammoth task of game balancing. Just watched that demo. Made me think of all the different combinations of abilities, the strategic use of ultimate moves. Yeah, that's quite a cool thing it's quite a good thing to call out, actually. So our ultimates, there is an element of strategy to them. So you will be able to save your ultimate, which is charging up down here on the bottom left. You'll be able to sort of save up
I wonder what
the
stats
use of an
they're
ultimate
gonna have in
to the
game.
point where you think it's going to be the right time to use it. And there definitely will be strategy to that, because different heroes will gather their ultimate strength in different ways. And some of it is just by taking turns, but also there's going to be, some people get their ultimate up
Like
through
energy
killing
recharge.
stuff. Some people get their ultimate up through debuffing, and all sorts of different things. So at some point you can get to all of your team having their ultimate ready at the same time, and you could unleash all of your ults back to back. So, but I think that's a cool element of strategy. So if I take it off auto for a second, whilst Anubis lays me down, I could be like, right, actually it's not Zeus's turn, but I can use Zeus's ult. And I could also
wait, that was his ult?
Down. I could be like, right, actually it's not Zeus's turn, but I can use Zeus's ult.
He just like charged up his spear through it. I think it was in Nikkei, Dislight, AFK Journey, and a couple other games. What else do you expect from Zeus? I don't fucking know. Like, Drop a mountain on him. It's just something. Do something godly. I don't know. Um, a bunch of gacha games, and it's typical of the gacha genre, not the hero collector genre. I guess they're technically separate. That when a character uses their ultimate, like a cinematic happens. This happens in Zenless. It happens in all the Hoyo games. It happens in Wuthering Waves and all like those RPG gachas. When you use an ultimate, it takes time and plays a cinematic that's unskippable. And when you've been playing the game for 2 years, using the same characters, it really gets old. I in AFK Journey, in Nikke, in Dislight, they had an option to turn them off. They also had an option to see them once per day. There's once per day or once per login, depending on the game. Which that's the one I always put on because like I do want to see the characters that I invested in. I do want to see their cool abilities, but I don't want to see them every fight. And in Star Rail, it's every fight. And sometimes I use Jingyuan's ultimate like 7 or 8 times in one fight. Or Sparkle like so many times in one fight. Like I don't want to see the animation anymore. Even though I have 2 times on, it like speeds it up. It's still too often that I have to watch it. So far, they've not made any mention of having that, but they just used an ability and there was no cutscene, and he didn't say, hey, there's going to be a cutscene. They did talk about how in Watcher of Realms, when you summon essentially the same tier as like a 5-star character or a legendary character, whatever's the character on the banner, a cinematic plays that's specific to that character. That's like I don't know, a guy walking out of the shadows killing somebody. You know, it depends on what character it is, but like it's a cinematic specifically for that character that's like high quality and interesting that plays when you finally pull that character, which I think is really neat. And they did talk about wanting to do that.
And I could also use
having a skip button
Hercules ult,
just the same,
etc. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do back to back to make those ults really interesting. But it's right what Dicko says here. That means there's going to be an ultimate. There's going to be an element of balance that's needed, and that doesn't even like scratch the surface of it because there's other things which we've not released yet in terms of to the wider public, in terms of tricky things to balance, but will add a lot of fun to the game.
I think another big thing that I want to see from Fateless or from GodForge that would turn me off of the game if they don't do it, because they complain about it as individual creators so often, is raid balancing. Balance patches come from raid once every couple months, and almost always they are buffs. I think I've talked about this before. It's really tricky, right, to nerf a character that people have spent money on. But I think that there are instances, and egregious instances, and a lot of the community agrees with this, that some things need to change. Sometimes a nerf is necessary, and that takes care of some of a balance problem. But there's so much in the game going on. I think it's just like there's a ton of characters in Raid, and they only ever buff like 2 legendaries, like at a time. Which like maybe it takes that long internally, who knows? But there are epics in the game that need a buff. There are rares in the game that need a buff. There are certainly legendaries that just need to be totally reworked because of power creep. I hope that they take their frustrations with balancing and push that into the game and try to make a balanced game that's fun, and they continually update and balance things as problems arise. Like what if a character comes out and nobody plays them and they're just trash and everything, like maybe they tweak the numbers a little bit, or maybe they find a hidden zero, something like that.
So I guess this is a watch
Both
this space,
ways.
but you know that's why Saf's in the team, the ultimate balancing king. He's going to be working hard to make sure that that's something that we do. So yeah, but yeah, cool
What's
out.
not possible?
Definitely something that's on our minds. Pippin here, love the reliquary idea. Can see some really cool puzzles and community engagement. My concern is, there's always, whenever you add something like, there's always, okay, well, what's the flip side? What's the concern with it? So my concern is...
So any balancing that is already done is useless. What? They are deep in dev, still making decisions about team size and turn order? Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm sure that balancing is not like something that they're doing. Like he said they're about a year away from launch. That's probably not something that's going to take a forefront until way closer to whatever alpha or beta they're working for. Yeah, you can't really balance too far out. I'm thinking about Zenless. The original Zenless beta was a year and a half ago at this point, maybe 2 years, and the Bang Boo in that game were busted. Billy was a really good DPS. Some of the enemies were super easy. Like it was so far away from launch. Like I couldn't have expected any of that to maintain.
A specific combination of heroes to unlock it in a gotcha hero collector game. It could be frustrating, blah blah blah. Yeah, so yeah, that reliquary idea, it might be that you need a specific hero, a hero from a specific faction that's also got a weapon from their faction, as an example. Or it might be, to unlock this reliquary, you need to have 5 heroes of this faction.
I don't think they've gone into what artifacts or gear are going to be.
Or it might be you need 3 heroes of this faction and 2 heroes from this faction.
What that's going to look like.
You will find in the game clues in terms of what do you think you're going to need for this reliquary to open up. But I can assure you, Pippin, it will never be you need Zeus, Hercules, and I don't know, Brunhild. Like these 3 specific heroes to unlock it. That's not what we're going for. It's just more of a kind of like community. Damn, I've just unlocked one, and this is what I was using. And then you're trying to decipher what it is and share with the community how you're getting into these different rooms where you can earn yourself some juicy fat loot. But yeah, good call out. Would be nice to see, so this is from Kate, would be nice to see African warriors in the game, maybe a Zulu couple, tribal marks and all. It's nice to have Egyptians, that's just one African culture. So I guess just to make you aware, we're going to have 10 different mythologies on launch, with the ability, obviously, providing the game is successful, to
They've talked about this a lot
have
on
more
their
factions
podcast.
down the line.
Just kind of like reiterating.
And I'd say out of the 10 factions that we're launching with, we've got really good diverse cultures. We've got the ones that people are more aware of, you know, the Greek gods and stuff, the Egyptians, the Norse. And I've done videos talking about all of those. We're actually just going into now I guess like the Hindu area of our game and starting to explore those heroes. And damn, some of them are so sweet. So yeah, rest assured, we do have a really cool diversity of different mythologies coming in. Oman here from the Discord. I need to know if this game is going to have an infinitely farmable PvE mode. So Oman has also like mentioned a number of times, I wish this game wouldn't have energy and stuff like that. It's a tricky one. So where you've got a game where there's like farmable resources, if you have no energy, then we're almost saying if you don't play this game 24/7, then you're going to fall behind everyone else by a lot. And we don't want to put that kind of like feeling on players that you should be playing the game 24/7 to stay keep up with someone else. And that's one of the reasons why energy is introduced into these games. Certainly that's one of the reasons why energy's in there. We will have
we know the other reason.
Game modes where you can play things like the normalized modes infinitely if you've got some skill and knowledge in the game. Yeah, so you'll be able to earn the ability to go back in and go again and go again. And there will be a number of different game modes where you could come in and play pretty much infinitely. I don't know if infinitely is the right word, but you could definitely re-go into different content and go again. So it's hard to answer this type of thing without showing you all of the different features we've got lined up, but there definitely will be plenty of playtime without the need to become, like a PvPer. I pulled this one in just because.
Okay. So my gripe, there's obviously a couple gripes I have with energy. A big one is, let me play your fucking game. Like, some games, not all games, but some games that have an energy system in them, once you run out of energy, there's nothing else to do. You could endlessly click through menus. You're not going to play the game because you don't have the resource to be able to do it. There's no exploring to do. There's another alternate mode. There's no PvP or whatever. So I just close the game. And that's the type of game that I don't open again. Because if I'm going to play a game, I want to play it. A game needs to have something else to do in it. Like, especially a mobile game where you're actively trying to get people's money, right? You want their time to be spent in your game more than their time is spent in a different game. And the faster that they run out of energy in your game and things to do in your game, the faster they're going to get into a different game. And that's potentially money that you're not getting in your game. You're getting, they're spending it elsewhere, if they're spending money. Genshin does this super well. This is an outlier, right? Genshin is not the same type of game as this. It's an open world, what do they call it? Action RPG. So like the equivalent of stamina or energy in that game, you utilize, you spend when you do a dungeon that gets you gear. That's the only time that you spend energy. It's the same kind of in Zenless a little bit. All the other the story mode, right? This game, I guess GodForge is going to have a story mode probably similar to Raid, where it's like you clear it once and that's it, or farm gear from it, like whatever. But it's likely going to cost energy to do. In Genshin, it doesn't cost energy to do the story, to do the content that they're creating to keep you in the game. Also, in Genshin, it has the benefits of being an open world game where you can go around and explore. You can get achievements. You can go open chests. You can do little puzzles that they've put. You can just explore this like gigantic game. Like, yeah, they have the benefit of that, which, whatever. Games like Raid, you look at this menu here and you're like, okay, well, here's all the things that I can do before I get to log out for the day. Some of these recharge throughout the day, and some of the timers are like pretty egregious, or sometimes they're too quick. I don't think there's anything in the game that you can do theoretically endlessly. Like, sometimes I play when I've got literally nothing going on at work. I'll play on my second account because I'm trying to get my referrals up, and I'll blow through all because at a lower level it doesn't have a lot of shit unlocked yet. I'll blow through my keys or whatever, my crypt keys, my arenas, and then I'm just sitting there like, okay, I guess I'll open Arknights, or I guess I'll open at the time, a little while ago I was playing Nikkei, or I was playing AFK Journey. Like, I'll go play a different game because I literally can't play the game. Like, I can't level up my characters. I can't progress through PvP. I can't do anything because there is a limit to what I can do during the day. Like, if I am wanting to play a game, I want to be allowed to play the game. I don't want to be forced to do something else. And that's like an extreme way of putting it, but that's just how my brain interprets that. And obviously, I still play Raid. But it's just like, it's a passive game to me. It's not a game that I play. And yeah, like I could spend, like Non says here in the chat, Hydra and Doom Tower only take the keys you make progress in, which I think is really nice. Same with Iron Twins. That takes your energy even if you lose, but it doesn't take your key if you don't win. So like you could endlessly run through Hydra to get a really good use of your key, which is what I do every week, right? But I do it on auto because I'm fighting normal Hydra. um, they are long fights. I think there just has to be something in the game for people to do that keeps them in the game. And a lot of times, part of the reason why they have an energy system is so that they can sell you energy. Genshin and Star Rail, I don't know about Zenless because I've not hit that mark ever. I mean, I've not hit that mark ever in any of the Hoyo games. But there is a finite number of stamina you can use per day in those games. You can buy and utilize essentially like energy potions that you would save up to give you an energy boost or a stamina boost. You can buy that stuff or use it if you have it up to a certain amount of energy per day. I think it's like 9,000 or something like that. It's a dumb number, but there is a cap per day. I think that's fine if the cap is pretty large. I see a lot of people talking about the overall limit, like your pool of energy. Like right now I'm level 74. My energy pool is 130. Let's take a look at where I'm at in Iron Twins right now. It costs me 20 energy to do one Iron Twins. Let's say I was more efficient with using all of my energy and I only had 130 for the day. Like, yeah, I could stay logged in and get my one free potion and use that, but I like to save those for fusions. So if I'm not saving, I get 260 energy. But if I am saving, I get my 6 rounds of Iron Twins, and like one 12-3 farm, right? Because that's 8 energy. Or I could use all my energy for the day on leveling my next food characters, and I could get almost 20 runs in. I could get like 15 runs in. That's enough for 2 stars. Like I feel like I don't want, and I have this problem a lot in Arknights. Arknights is pretty egregious when it comes to energy usage and stamina usage. Like you can't progress through the story or events. Similar to this event dungeon. Like if this was only here for like 2 weeks, that's the equivalent in Arknights. If there was an event dungeon for like 2 weeks and I didn't have enough energy, like I wouldn't be able to complete it because the energy cost is so high. And in this game, when you lose, you still your energy is still taken from you. I don't want to have to make hard decisions on where my energy goes for the day, whether that be a lower energy cost per content or a higher energy pool that recharges every day. Who knows? That's not a question I have an answer for. But I did see it was like a comment on a post I saw that I thought was interesting. Apparently, there was a game, I can't even remember the name of the game, that was almost like a precursor to like the modern gacha game. It was like a mobile game, I guess, a long time ago. It was free, but if you paid like $5, you could unlock infinite energy forever. From what I understand, the game made it like a couple years. Obviously, whatever it is, didn't make enough mark for me to remember. Probably not around anymore. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because a lot of times these kinds of mobile games they'll make money off of somebody being like, "Oh, I ran out of all my energy for the day, but there's still things that I want to do," or "Hey, this building is going to take another hour to complete. I'm not going to be here in an hour. I want it to complete now, so I'm going to pay the extra dollar or I'm going to pay the extra energy to expedite that." Like, "Oh, I'm really close to getting this new character to 6 star. I just need one more food, and I know I can get it if I wait another day, but I don't want to wait another day. So I'm just going to pay the dollar now and just expedite it because I want that satisfaction now. And that's a big issue that I have with energy. It's that sort of feeling. And like it comes also back to I'm going to actually take a pause from the video quick. I was reading this article about like why energy systems exist, and beyond content, we've not talked about content pacing, and like I guess we kind of talked about like, hey, how am I going to use my energy for today? But like the idea that people, especially now, and it's kind of all over, people want something that gives them a reward. Like I want the reward of not seeing this red dot here. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to go over here, check this. Oh, hey, I've got these. I can buy those real quick. I'm going to go through and I'm going to clear out all my red dots because that's something that my monkey brain really likes. And for some people, it's like, okay, they log back into the game, they see all the red dots, they see the things that they can get, they see, oh, my energy's full, boom, back to it. Gonna spend it all, and then at the end of the day, they spent all their energy, and now they feel that they're completed. I don't have anything more to do on my list today. I've done it all. Come back tomorrow. Like that response and feedback loop is a major part of why these games have and utilize these energy systems, because that is an effective like psychological mode, which makes sense. Like it I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, right? I think that they're just utilizing the reward response very very effectively. This talked about content pacing, and Non was saying a little bit about it in chat a little bit earlier. This is also pretty good because you put sort of like a long or a hard stop on the difference between somebody who has been playing a month versus somebody who has been playing a day. The gap isn't such a large gap because only so much energy has been used on one account versus another, like that type of thing. You can also gauge like a new expansion or whatever, like how long that's gonna last, or a new patch or something like that. Like I'm thinking like in World of Warcraft, if a new expansion came out and they said you could only level one level a day, like obviously that'd be bad, but it's not really similar, but like they could pace content knowing that it's gonna take X amount of time to get to the max level before you can start doing this thing and progressing here, whatever. They do it by limiting flying. Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know if it's still the case because I actually haven't played the new WoW expansion yet. But when an expansion would come out, you wouldn't be able to fly, so you're limited to ground travel. So it would take you more time to get from place A or to place B from A, whatever. You couldn't just fly up in the air and skip everything. So it's obviously understandable there. I hope that GodForge knows that a lot of gacha games are just lacking end game content. I think Tower of Fantasy tried to do a dungeon system that involved other people, and I thought that was super cool because it was like a Genshin style game that had a queue system that used dungeons, and it created replayability, and that game died immediately. So I don't know, maybe it was bad. Obviously, yeah, we talked about energy and monetization. Obviously, that's a big thing. There's also like, I think there's an expectation of it. Like, hey, if it's if it's expected to be a mobile game first, which is kind of like what they're what they optimize their beta for mobile. They're probably going to push mobile a lot heavier than PC. People don't spend 3 or 4 hours playing a game on their phone. Some phones just can't handle that. They play it while they're on the train, or they play it while they're on the toilet or something like that. So games like Raid, they have things like, auto clan boss, where you can use your key for the day super quick. Boom, now I've used my key. Hey, I've used all 4 keys today. Cool. Let me go get the next checkbox done. Let me go do my 5 arenas for the day. Let me refresh to see if I can get any quick ones. Like, what other boxes do I need to check quickly before I have to go back to my responsibilities? And I think I'm sure that the amount of people who play Raid for a long period of time, or want to play it for a long period of time, are like a minority. A time energy limited side for one kind of progress that can be used competitively. On another side, with cosmetics or titles, shit that's cool but doesn't affect gameplay. Yeah. So, just like in Genshin, just what I was saying about Genshin, like, the only things you can get from exploring in Genshin is character level up materials. Like, you can farm ascension materials. Like, in that game, you might need to go mine some ore to level up a character, which it doesn't have an equivalent in this game. But like, that's really the only character progress stuff you can do. Other than that, it's just opening chests for achievements or exploring areas or completing puzzles, and they don't give you gear. The only time you spend energy is when you get gear that affects your character in a major way. You can't. You could go out and find weapons, but they're not like, they're trash. Like, nobody uses them because they're blue and shit. The good ones are from the banners. But in this game, like, you could have character skins, and I hope to God they have character skins. Like, there's like 6 skins in Raid, and I don't know why. There's so many different characters in Raid, and they don't have skins. Like character portraits or player cards or titles or clan achievements or guild achievements, whatever. You have your personal achievements. Like, have something that's replayable. Oh, fuck. If they did a good, almost like an Arknights style integrated strategies roguelike, like in Arknights, when Integrated Strategies 2 came out, I was like reinvigorated to play the game because I was no longer bound to the stamina system where I could only do a couple of story stages a day because I didn't have enough stamina, to, I could just play this replayable game mode that's really fun infinitely because it didn't cost anything, and I got rewards for it. There was like a level track that you could get characters from or level up rewards from or whatever, and that was their roguelike thing, and it's a super popular game mode because of that. Why are weapons separate models from champs? Do you mean in this game? He did specifically mention like to get into one of the side areas, you would need a character from this faction and a weapon from this faction. Why are weapons separate models from? Are they? Oh, I guess they're dropped sometimes when they die. Huh. Yeah, I never thought about that. Oh man, they load separately. Oh, weird. If I could get different staffs for Wukong, oh my god.
Energy is introduced into these games. Well, certainly that's one of the reasons why energy's in there. We will have game modes.
We watched this, sorry.
Here. I pulled this one in just because it answers a number of people's questions. So, Manuel, I don't know how you say this. I'm so terrible at saying names. I hope that this game is in German too. So the release plan is that we will release in English speaking and look to be successful. Obviously, that's what we're hoping for, is success. And then we will start.
I think
to
being a
localize.
European-based company and not having at least text in other languages. I mean, he did say speech in English, so I imagine there's going to be some voiceover. I think Athena has voiced over some videos. Not having text in other languages is kind of a miss since they're based out of Europe.
Certainly, German is one of the languages which would be high priority, because we know in Germany a lot of people play these games. But ideally, if we're able to be successful in some of the stuff we've got going on right now around investment
I have
and stuff
no
like
idea.
that, then we could do localization in terms of our launch much sooner into more regions. So, but yeah, English speaking is going to be our initial launch in terms of plans right now.
It's smart to not,
I just wanted to talk about,
so
not
many
really
voice
answering
actors,
a question, but there's been a couple of videos that have come out. So basically, Wizard D Gaming had something here that was like GodForge on thin ice, and and GodForge on thin ice after releasing our pre-alpha. And we heard MTG Jedi did one on like why GodForge will fail. I think it was something like that. Anyway,
Oof.
It's so weird. So firstly, there's a ton of different content creators already doing GodForge content, which is cool to see. Here it is. GodForge will fail. And I've got to say, now being on the other side.
So this is really apt for this section. But yeah, Non just said, I imagine they hope to compete with Raid, but without the hate created by Raid's years of ads. So the ads were like a meme for like a couple years, right? Like Raid Shadow Legends. Now they're like they put a little bit more effort into them. They're like they spend a lot of money on like the CG for it or whatever. But I'm hoping that we don't get infinite in-game pop-up ads, because every video that Hell Hades does that involves him clicking around in menus, inevitably a pop-up ad comes up and he's like, oh, come on, Raid. And because he's like in the middle of a thought, right? And he's trying to like get to the champions to show something. And it's like, if there are pop-ups in GodForce, it's over. Like, there's no way. They're trying to expand on that, but still make money. Yeah, I get Raid ads all the time on various platforms. It could be my own fault, but it does seem like they've, especially now that they partner with Twitch again. Well, that was a couple months ago, but I imagine their Amazon partnership's still going. They're going to push a little bit harder.
Of the screen as a developer, when you see these kind of things, you're like, oh man, that sucks that people have got that opinion already, because you're so heavily invested in the game and the work that you're putting in. But it's also,
I kind of want to watch this GodForge tips. I think that's MTG Jedi. Could be wrong. That's another creator that does raid videos, who has a second account. Oh, it says GodForge will fail if, and there's more to the title. Oh, I got clickbaited. I got clickbaited in a different video.
What we're doing here. So, some of the context of this was like, are the models good enough? Are the character models up to scratch with what we see from other games? I mean, personally, I feel like for pre-alpha, we're in a pretty good spot, because everything from here is increasing the quality of optimization. So the actual base models are very good. It's like shaders, textures, lighting, all of that type of stuff to just improve the game. But we're trying. We're like, every single model that goes through 2D concepting, 3D concepting, every single one.
So they've done quite a few videos, especially as before the game's like name came out. They were doing, or Hades was doing, like, here's our process of going from 0 to a fully modeled and textured character. And those videos were super cool. Like, as someone who I used to go to school for game art. Like, this was the thing that I wanted to do. I thought it was super cool, super informative, and like really showed the Musashi. I thought it was super informative, and it really showcased. And they did like level design videos and things like that. Like they really showcased the breadth that you can have and the work that goes into it on the back end. But, and like I said earlier, I think this is going to be a totally separate video. I'm going to make like a list of things as an outsider that I have noticed that will likely change, that need to change. In terms of UI, in terms of animations and shit like that, I think there's just so much more polishing that needs to be done before this game can even be considered for beta. But it's on the way, and I can tell every video that comes out, Simon is pumped. Like, this is his passion project, and I'm here for it. Like, I want this to succeed. Will it? Who knows? Watcher of Realms is still around. They still make content. They still drop new characters all the time. There's still a community of people who play that game. It's a particular style of game. It's not quite like Raid. It's still a hero collector. Wuthering Waves, believe it or not, is still around. They just dropped their second patch, and there's still a huge community for that. They're gonna have to come to terms with they're not gonna be Raid Shadow Legends out the gate, right? So they've just gotta be prepared to hunker down.
Does this hit the cool factor? Yes or no? And
yeah, there's no way the first, like, I don't know if they plan on doing banners. I don't know if they're going to do raid ups or anything like that. I imagine I'm going to be disappointed by the rates that they eventually make public. Typically, the first banner is the most hyped of a new game, but it's got to be a banger if they're releasing, like, you know, Release has characters like Zeus and Hercules and Aphrodite and Anubis and Musashi and like all these, like King Arthur. If those are the characters that are in the game on release, the first banner's gotta be fucking sick.
And art is very subjective to how you feel, right? And there's also elements like, as I say, sometimes
like Anubis looks fucking good.
Sometimes the lighting is just not good enough yet, and lighting makes such a difference. Sometimes the textures we've got in play, like this here,
fair,
don't feel quite right. Like, it's too waxy type of feel. The good thing is our 3D models are great.
I feel like, if I remember correctly, their polygon count is like pretty high. So this might just be a factor of it being rendered in. Oh, this is on PC.
So then it just comes down to the technical art guys.
I'm not really big on graphics.
What we've got.
As long as it
but there'll
good,
also be an element where some people are just like, you know what, it's not good enough for me, and if it looks like hard, PS2, I don't care. It's hard to hear.
Well, this is cool.
But you know, I get it. We have to design with mobile.
Yeah, of course. I mean, so, they clearly have like an aesthetic.
Yeah, there's some
and it seems like they're sticking to it. Like they use the same art agency.
Straight with that, and we also have to design within our budgets.
Yeah, Musashi.
So there's
Victorious Duelist, Order Slayer. He's an epic character. Her skin does look too. Yeah. I mean, he said that, so like clearly, I mean, I don't know. They're using Unity, which like come on, man, Unity. In the year of Musashi, Unity engine. At least use Unreal 4. Like, Unity's fine. I think Raid's built in Unity. Originally, Genshin was built in Unity, but they eventually made their own once they had enough money to make their own engine for it. But like, you're so limited, and I feel like the game would take up a lot more resources on mobile. Yeah, I imagine the mobile compatibility is better on Unity, but I've not used Unity enough to know, so I can't say.
Constraints with that, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're working with, but I don't know, guys. We're trying hard, and I'd say over time as well, as we're sort of finding our feet with the art crew, that's improving as well. So this is the earliest models that we've done. Since here, we've already got 50 done, by the way, 50 character models. So
they plan on launching somewhere between 200 and 300 characters.
But we've actually got more like 50 complete, and I already know that there's some which I prefer to what we've already done. So all I can say is we listen to the feedback, we're trying, and you know, going back to what I said right at the start of the video.
Here's a woodblock print of Musashi. Here's another. Woodblock prints, you know, all we have. We don't have pictures, right? And that's just like, those aren't going to be real accounts. I have collected no things in ornament or excess. Oh, is that a quote for him?
We just want to create a really great game.
I don't know what kind of lore they got going on in this game.
We will try our hardest to do it, but
yeah, they apparently go heavy on the research.
Hopefully some of those answers give you some more context in terms of what we're working on. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and come and join us for the beta and in the Discord channel. And I'll leave all of that stuff down below. That's going to be it for today. I'm Simon from Fateless, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, so I think next time I do a video, maybe we'll do this. They do a podcast every week. Maybe we'll do this as a kind of weekly, maybe not weekly, maybe that's a bit too frequent, thing where we look at what Fateless is doing, maybe look back at some of their older videos and compare them. I'm invested in this game. Like I want to see where it goes. I want to see it do well. I want to see these creators bring to life something that they felt the genre and their gaming experience was lacking. Like that's something that I want to do. Like if somebody came out, and there's a gacha game coming out soon. I forget what it's called. It doesn't look good. Where like there's gacha aspects where it's like a action RPG where you can free roam and like run around, you like collect characters, you collect weapons, but then you like hop in cars and you like drift around the city. And then there's another one where you can like swing between buildings like Spider-Man. Like if a game came out that was like Zenless, that looked like Zenless but was truly free roaming around a city, and you could drive like you could in GTA, where you could just like, or Cyberpunk, where you hop in a car and you go in races and stuff, where it's like a mix of Zenless and GTA and like Need for Speed. I don't know if I would play a different game. Like I would only play that game. And for a long time I was researching and getting together resources because of the way my brain works. I was gathering resources to be able to make something like that on my own. And it obviously wouldn't be a huge scale, right? But I felt the need to create something where there wasn't something. And it's clear that these guys feel like there isn't something and they want to make it better. And I'm here for it. And I just want to... I want to see it succeed, but I don't want to see it fail in areas that I know can be very difficult. And I don't have an answer for the energy. I don't have an answer for the energy system, but for the love of God, please don't make it like Raid. Please don't make it like Arknights. Just make it tolerable. Or like if you have an energy system, don't have a cost to remove and switch gear. it's so backwards and asinine. Like, like I go into Zenless and I'm like, oh, trying different gear sets on characters, or in Genshin trying different gear sets, and then I go into Raid and I go to change my gear, and it's like, oh, you want to change this? 100,000 silver. Like, what? I just want to test to see if this weapon's good. They should fix both problems. I agree. There's likely a solution to the energy. This game might not find it, specifically because it's probably a good money source. But who knows? Who knows? They might have information that my consumer brain does not have. So I don't know. We'll see. I didn't play the demo, and the demo didn't have an energy system in it. So maybe when the beta comes out next year, we can try to get into it. The beta signups are live on the website. You can also join the Discord. Yeah, just just let me play your game. Don't make it so where it's like, oh, I've played the game for 15 minutes. I don't need to open the game for another 24 hours. Like, let me play the game. Let me play the fucking game. Anyway, I'm Vex. I guess I'm gonna make another billion Fateless videos, or a GodForge video. I'm gonna keep calling it that. GodForge videos. Next one might be about the UI and the pros and cons I see with the current one compared to other gacha games. Anyway, have a good day.